Maxine. Here. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to stand here with our distinguished whip, with our ranking member on the Financial Services Committee, with two champions for the EXIM Bank and getting the job done for the American people to create jobs for the American people, Congresswoman Gwen Moore of Wisconsin and Congressman Denny Heck of Washington State. This is a very important day because we have broken through the wall of obstruction in the Congress, again, to get the job done in a bipartisan way, which is what we all come here to do. The EXIM Bank is about small businesses, about businesses throughout our country benefiting from our opportunity to reach markets overseas. Every country, every big trading country has the equivalent of an EXIM Bank. For us to have ours not authorized and not funded is to tie the hands of American business as we try to expand our exports and, again, increase jobs and paychecks in the United States. So it's really quite an important day. I commend the Republicans who came up forward and signed the discharge petition. I applaud the leadership on their side for enabling this to happen, but I'm particularly proud of the work done on the Democratic side to amass, 176 signatures and more. They just cut it off at 218. Central to all of that was the work of the whip's office, individually speaking to members, but in a larger sense, the leadership that the whip provided on this issue, inside and outside the Congress. Our ranking member on the Financial Services Committee received kudos galore from the business community for the roundtables and rump sessions that she held, and for her persistent, dissatisfied, excellent advocacy for the EXIM Bank. And our two colleagues whom I mentioned, Gwen Moore and Denny Heck, were relentless. I mean, Denny Heck got signatures in less than one day, less than 24 hours, he was able to amass the signatures when we were collecting signatures for such legislation. But with great pride and admiration for the work done by the whip operation under the leadership of our distinguished whip, on behalf of American workers, I yield to Mr. Hoyer, who's been a champion of Make It in America, but also let's export it to the rest of the world.
Well, I want to thank, as the whip, let me tell you, the best whip in the House is Nancy Pelosi. We worked as a team to get this done, to support Maxine Waters, Gwen Moore, in the committee, and Denny Heck, who has been an extraordinary champion of Export-Import Bank. As Leader Pelosi said, and Tom Donahue of the Chamber of Commerce said, if we didn't do this, it would be unilateral disarmament. It would be saying to the rest of the world, you're going to be able to compete and we won't. When we last worked on this in 2012, Mr. Cantor and I, Ms. Waters, Ms. Moore, Denny Heck, when we last did this, we got over 300 votes. What today showed was when we work together, when people are allowed to express their will, we had 42 Republicans sign a discharge petition. It's the 5th discharge petition, I'm told. I haven't looked this up, so check this, but it's the 5th since 1930. Over 85 years. Only 5 of these have been signed and enacted. So that now on October 26th, we will be able to consider what I think is a bill to make America more competitive, as the leader said, to be able to make it in America and sell it here and around the world. So that's what this day was about, and I congratulate all of my colleagues here. This was a success, and success, of course, has many mothers and many fathers, so that we're very pleased today. This was a victory for America, not a victory for party, but a victory for America and a victory for American workers. So I'm very pleased now to yield to the ranking member of the Financial Services Committee, who has worked tirelessly on this effort, along with Gwen Moore and Denny Heck, Maxine Waters of California.
Thank you very much, Steny Hoyer. I thank you for that very kind introduction, but really I want to thank you for the years of leadership that you have given to the reauthorization of Ex-Im Bank. You have done a fantastic job, and I have certainly appreciated working with you as we worked to make sure that we did not lose this important resource in this country. And for Leader Pelosi, I have never seen anyone so determined. I've never seen such advocacy. She believed when some of us started to believe, not to believe rather, she believed that we were going to finally get it done. And so this is a big tribute to her today, that we find ourselves in this extraordinary, historic action to discharge this petition, have this petition signed, and discharge this legislation. And so, Denny Heck and Gwen Moore, who serve on the Financial Services Committee with me, have worked very hard. They have not only joined with me as we have done roundtables, but they've been out in their districts working with all of those businesses and suppliers to the big businesses that depend on Ex-Im Bank in order to create the kind of jobs and provide the kind of supplies to these businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know I found myself working with everything from the Chamber of Commerce to GE, to the Manufacturers Association, and organized labor. What a combination. Because we all understood the importance of jobs and all understood the importance of being able to support our export industries. Well, we had a lot of things to overcome. And I have to tell you that the chairman of our committee was determined that this bank would not be reauthorized, even though there were many members on that side of the aisle who believed that it should be reauthorized and really wanted to do it. And thank God, Mr. Fincher and Mr. Lucas stepped up to the plate and held the hands of members who really wanted to do it, but maybe felt a little intimidated. And they came together with us. And you see what happened here today. They joined with us in signing this petition to get this bank reauthorized. I'm so proud of the work that we have done, but I'm more proud of the fact that we're going to help keep those jobs in our districts and across this country that have been generated because of the support of the Ex-Im Bank. And so we leave here today feeling very good as we go back to our districts and as we travel across the country to say, despite the fact there were many obstacles in our way, we have gotten it done thus far, and I look forward to the final vote that has already been taken on the Senate side. And all we have to do is just take our vote on this side and off to the president's desk, and we're going to have reauthorization of the Ex-Im Bank. Thank you.
Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
Well, let me introduce this. Please, I mentioned Congresswoman Gwen Moore, but let me bring her to the microphone because she's played such an important role as a member of the Financial Services Committee.
Thank you so much, Ranking Member Waters. I've learned so much under your leadership. I want to thank Nancy Pelosi and Mr. Hoyer, Mr. Heck. I am so in awe of this breakthrough and this historic moment when we have been with so much chaos going on in this building to once again be able to demonstrate that democracy does work every once in a while. And this is one of those occasions. We were fortunate to be joined by 40, and I would say 42, courageous members of the majority who, under many threats for their own political and career well-being, stepped up to break through some of the do-nothing attitude that we have seen here in the Capitol, to really sign this discharge position and to solidify their belief in creating jobs. The Export-Import Bank is a job creation engine. And we had already seen the adverse impact from it not being reauthorized. Right near my home in Mr. Sensenbrenner's district, which he also signed the discharge petition, we saw GE lose 350 high-tech manufacturing jobs directly because the Export-Import Bank was not reauthorized. Not to mention the tremendous supply chain that affects folks in my district in Milwaukee, which still relies heavily on manufacturing for its economy. So it's not just huge corporations. You've heard Boeing and GE mentioned, but it's companies like Maxon in my district that has 30 employees. And this company has done work on the Panama Canal. And they have subcontractors, a company down the street from them in Milwaukee with 4 employees that really relied on the Export-Import Bank. The CEO of Maxon looked at me in the eye and said, without the Export-Import Bank, I cannot do what I do for my 30 employees. This is not GE or Boeing. It is really unacceptable in a global marketplace for the United States to disarm, and we are so happy today that we were able to make this breakthrough. Maybe it's the beginning of a new tone around the Capitol.
Amen.
And let me just say, none of this really, I can tell you that the person who has really hit the streets, and I've talked to everyone, even people we knew objected to the Export-Import Bank. Here's a guy, we'll go talk to him anyway. And that is Mr. Denny Heck from the state of Washington. So pleased and proud to call him colleague.
Thank you, thank you.
It's been a pretty tough couple of weeks around here. And yet in the midst of that, I can look you all in the eye and say, what you saw on display today was the best of the United States House of Representatives. Think about it. Leadership. The steadfast, strong, unbelievable, committed leadership of the people behind me, including the leader, including the ranking member, including the whip. Leadership. Bipartisanship. This was a Republican discharge petition. And by the way, it's the first one to be successfully brought to fruition since 1986. This is a once-in-a-generation thing. This was a bipartisan effort. Bravery. My goodness. The bravery of Steve Fincher and Frank Lucas. You all read the news reports. They were threatened with their political lives the minute this rumor got out. It took courage for them to do that. Creativity. Now, I'm not going to bore any of you with the details, but if you really fully understood the brilliance behind the whip's machinations here about all the steps involved in the timing, you would be blinded by that light. You would be blinded by that light. And lastly, the hard work. Frankly, I'm a worker bee in this deal. I am proud to have been a buck private in this Army and to do what I could. So really the question is why? Why is this that thing that brought all those elements forward? Why is this a once-in-a-generation thing? Those elements, leadership, creativity, bravery, bipartisanship, work, that's all at play. But what's at play is what's behind it. What's behind it is the most important thing we do, which is that which we can to help create good-paying jobs for Americans. As Teddy Kennedy once said, the best social program you can have is a good-paying job for somebody who wants to work. It's the most important thing we can do for America, and that's what the Export-Import Bank does. I'm humbled to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
I just want to make, excuse me, Maxine, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say that when I came on the floor today, Leader Pelosi said, you will be number 218 to put it over. Don't call me Maxine Waters, call me 218.
And that's the point I wanted to make.
It's a lot better than a 10, right? 218.
Congratulations, Maxine Waters, on being 218. And that's the point, and Denny referenced it. This was not about whipping to convince members, because our members have long been supportive of this. Mr. Hoyer said over 300, and practically every, except for one, we can only identify one, shall we say maybe, but we don't put them down as yes. And everybody unanimously for it. But the wonder of it all was getting people to be here on a Friday, to be here on a getaway day, and to be here on time. We had more members who wanted to sign, but once you get to 218, they cut it off. So our number is bigger than that, but the mastery of today, from the whip standpoint, it was that people were here, and they stayed, and they signed up, and they found out that if they had come sooner, they would be within the 218. So congratulations on all of that. Now we hope we can go forward. We have another deadline. This is overdue, but we have a deadline for the transportation bill, which has always been bipartisan, and hopefully we can meet the end of October deadline on that. Lifting the debt ceiling, which is the first week of November deadline. Hopefully we can deal with that even sooner. We have the Keep Government Open omnibus that we are working on and hope to do even before December 11th to remove all doubt that we're going to honor the full faith and credit of the United States of America, that we're going to keep government open, that we're going to create jobs in our transportation bill. And as we do so, we're going to also pass a 9/11 health bill to not only on 9/11 sing the praises of those who were so courageous, but after that to meet their needs by passing that legislation once again, and hopefully in a very strong bipartisan way. Any questions? Yes, ma'am. Yes, Nancy.
Speaking of deadlines, how are you preparing for some of these deadlines, given the great uncertainty about who will be leading House Republicans?
Well, right now we have a speaker, and we have been, as I think I said yesterday in our press meeting there, our deadlines that are coming up, the committees of jurisdiction, the Senate has acted, the Committee of Jurisdiction in the House is working on a transportation bill. We hope it is something that will meet the needs of the American people and not make matters worse because it's too meager, but be bold enough and fiscally sound enough to take us for creating jobs, promoting commerce, and doing all the things that a transportation infrastructure bill is designed to do. On lifting the full faith and credit of the United States, we want to remove all doubt. Just the thought of it before lowered our credit rating. We can't go to that place again, and we're working in a bipartisan way on that. And on the omnibus, as I mentioned yesterday, we're working, the committees of jurisdiction are working on the pay-fors, are working on the actual dollar amount that we will have once we know what the pay-fors are, and the discussion of no surprises when it comes to policy and moves that they want to put in the bill, any riders they want to put. So everybody's working in their own piece, and hopefully all of this will meet the deadline. Hopefully the Republicans will come to terms as to who their recommendation will be for Speaker, but that's really up to them.
Let me just reiterate what the leader said. We have a speaker. And the Speaker of the House has said he doesn't want to see the government shut down, and he doesn't want to see the debt limit compromised. I would hope and expect and believe, and I think today was an indication of that, that this Speaker wants to make sure that before he leaves, America is well served by his leadership.
Did you ever see something like that happening in the Democratic caucus?
Excuse me?
Did you ever see something like what we
No,
saw?
we have
No.
You haven't, and you won't. Yes.
Leader Pelosi, some Republicans have said they're open to the idea of Democrats helping them to elect the next Republican speaker. What do you
Why
mean
don't we
by that?
just wait and see what they do? As I said at my pressing yesterday when they said, tell us what you think and how you're going to work with Kevin McCarthy, I said, when they act in their caucus and they elect a speaker on the floor, we'll talk about how we will work together for the good of the American people in a bipartisan way.
And we Democrats are unified that we will certainly accept their support of the next Speaker, Nancy Pelosi. So, it goes both ways.
Back on XM, have you got any guarantees from the Senate on XM? I mean, they say they won't take up a standalone bill. They did pass the amendment, but they're saying they won't take up this bill. What kind of conversations have you had? What's the outlook there?
Well, let me just say that this is the high camp bill that we are discharging. And so I do believe that we can feel comfortable that they will take up the legislation. It's the same legislation, basically, that they passed.
They've just said they won't spend the time it would take a week.
Well, I
to
think they
culture.
will. I think they will.
They didn't expect what was happening today to happen. And they really didn't expect that we would have a legislative approach that would be successful.
I talked to Senator Murray just about an hour ago and brought her up to date on where we are and the work that Denny Heck and Maxine, the leader, were doing to get this done. She's going to be working very hard, I know, with Denny Heck and others to convince McConnell that, and I want to make it very clear what Ranking Member Waters just said. What this rule provides that we just discharged is for the bill that got 64 votes on the floor of the Senate. So that this is not a bill that has not already passed
That's right.
the House. The Senate. It has. Now it was attached to the defense bill. So it's not the same, so it won't go directly. If we pass it, won't go directly to the president. But it is the bill the Senate has already passed by almost a 2/3 vote. And I would certainly hope under those circumstances, Senator McConnell would take it up, realizing that 64 of his members, as you saw 218,
Yes.
with the 218th standing right here,
That's
said
it.
this is critical
That's
for
great.
jobs in America. And I would hope that Senator McConnell, under those circumstances, would facilitate bringing a bill that has already passed his House, was almost 2/3,
That's right.
to the floor.
Leader Pelosi, one of the candidates that has been, it's kind of true with the help, that has been discussed is Chairman Hensarling to be Speaker of the House, and Representative Heck kind of alluded to the historic nature of this. He's criticized Republicans for putting forward this discharge petition. I'm wondering if the three of you could speak to Chairman Hensarling's leadership and also add to what Mr. Heck said about the nature of a Tea Partier and Representative Fincher working to allow the first discharge petition since 1986.
First, let me thank you for asking about the Exim Bank, which is what we're here to discuss. And this is something that cannot be ignored. As I said yesterday, when they choose their nominee for the floor and they elect a speaker, we'll be happy to work in a bipartisan way to find common ground. It's up to them. It's not up to us to.
Do you have any comments on Chairman Hensarling's leadership throughout all of this in opposition to the ranking?
Well, I basically said that he had, put obstacles in our way. He did not believe in it. He believed the bank should be killed, but he did not have the support of all of the members of his committee, or all of the members of the conference. And that's why we're able to do what we're doing today. We know he does not like it. He does not wish it to be reauthorized. But we're past that now because we've been able to get this discharge petition signed by 218 members of Congress.
And it will have a bigger vote when it comes to the floor. I think the first month, is it, Steny? When do we do it?
26th.
26th of
26.
October.
Let's be clear. This is nothing new. Ranking Member Waters beat him on flood control insurance, beat him on terrorism risk insurance, beat him on his GSE reform proposal. She's 4 for 4. I am not worthy.
And just let me say, democracy is messy, but it's the best system that we know, and it works. One person cannot stop the momentum of the majority, and this was a real tribute to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.